We're not looking at our copywriting team to only write copy.
So you have to be heartless in a lot of ways. Creative people also think a little, there's a lot of delulu.
What's important, especially as when we're running the agency, is that everybody understands why we didn't win. And then you can work towards beating those reasons.
Of course, yeah.
If a bigger agency ate into your pie because they're more experienced, build that experience yourself.
For a young creative starting out in a new agency,
Yeah.
what should they focus on in their first 7 days to probably upscale?
Your superpower as a creative, to be original, is go back to your authentic voice, you know? I didn't know what a marshmallow looked like until I was like in the 11th standard.
You did know at least you had.
Yeah,
I got to know very recently. So,
I guess.
Pedder Road,
Yeah.
11th standard, you were not middle class, my friend. You were doing very well for yourself. Today's guest is Rohit Prakash. He's the co-founder and creative head of Button Creatives. Before that, he honed his craft as a copywriter at Garage Worldwide and Buffalo Soldiers. At Button, he's led notable work for Esquire India, The Hollywood Reporter, Better Shot, and The Health Factory. His journey reflects not just the making of campaigns, but the building of a creative collective that delivers ideas with clarity and cultural relevance. So when you first entered,
Yeah.
the advertising industry as a
Yeah.
copywriter, what do you think creativity meant, and how has that definition changed for you today?
Yeah, that's crazy. So I went to a school that did a lot of focus on English and dramatics and stuff like that. And I remember a friend of mine, his dad used to be a copywriter. This is back in the early 2000s, right? So I'm sure advertising back then was like, we just opened up the economy. There were the
Early 2000s. How
Yeah.
old are you now?
I'm 96 born, so I'm 28.
You're young.
29.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
And we used to play in the same football team, and he used to be the goalkeeper, I used to be the last man, and we were such a good team. Random story. It was such a good football team that the defense hardly had a job to play because the ball used to always be in the other half. And so we used to chat a lot. And one of those sessions, I remember he used to tell me about, and my dad used to work in the DAE, which is the Department of Atomic Energy, the finance side of things, but he used to make fun of me saying your dad is a scientist, which was somehow a joke. And when we used to ask him what does his dad do, he was a copywriter. And he had something to do with the Taste the Thunder, right? For thumbs up.
Thumbs up, huh?
And so my early understanding of copywriting was, okay, it's writing Taste the Thunder.
So it was your friend's dad who actually
Who used to
wrote
be-
that?
Yeah, probably part of the team. In advertising, nobody does it's never just one person's idea,
Fair.
really. And so for a long time, that's all I knew about the business of copywriting. But growing up, when I was in college, did a little bit of theater, learned a little bit of screenwriting. And then when I did my first advertising internship, I realized that so much of this copywriter's role is just generally being a creative person who can traverse various sort of mediums, I think.
Right.
In my first internship, I was one day writing the copy that would go on a dorm stationery diary. And the second day, my boss used to come and drop a folder saying, okay, maybe we can now write for a radio spot for movies now.
Okay.
And the third day, I'm writing, manifesto for He deodorants.
Okay.
And then you realize that, it's not about Taste the Thunder. It's really about being able to put an idea in a page that you can then put in front of a client. And then, of course, with the way advertising changed, that role has become so different, right? I know there are a lot of agencies that call it solution strategist, and who really calls them a copywriter anymore? But the way
We still do.
Yeah, I think we also
still do.
Yeah, we've
I
got
think the old school is the best way.
yeah, we've got copywriters, but I'll be honest, we're not looking at our copywriting team to only write copy. We're
Yeah.
also looking at them to
Thinking.
be savvy
Yeah.
and build strat. It's a whole universe now. But it has evolved, man. I mean, for me, it's fun now because now that we also run the agency, it's nice to be a creative person running the agency because so much of top line value we're building from a business side of things.
But do you not think that,
Yeah.
if a creative personality is running the organization,
Yeah.
do you not think that they miss out on the larger decisions of
Yeah.
so you have to be heartless in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Right? Creative people also think a little.
Yeah.
There's a lot of there's a lot of delulu.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and I face that.
Correct.
And you have to be a person who's very vocal, very outspoken, right?
Yeah.
When a creative person runs an organization, do you not think it affects your sales overall?
I'll tell you, Krishna. I can only speak for myself, and I'll tell
Right.
you. I'll tell you how I feel about things, right?
Yeah.
there is a feeling of euphoria I feel when we've cracked this really interesting hook for a campaign. Case in point, we're working with this brand called Crex. They're a cricket sort of scoring updates app, and they have Harmanpreet Kaur. And we come up with the idea of saying, you know what, let's have Harmanpreet Kaur open the film with saying, बहुत लोग कहते हैं कि women's cricket देखो, women's cricket को support करो. मैं तो कहती हूँ मत देखो यार. And the entire hook is that she's saying, please don't watch women's cricket. I don't want to be famous because how else will I eat pani puri? How else will I go in the local trains? We have that flip. So when we come up with that idea, excites me. But I'll tell you, Krishna, there is also another incredible joy I find in cracking the art of cracking a good deal. You know, and so luckily for us, between the three co-founders that we are, I think three of us have that. You know, Shafique used to run a very successful cafe before this. Akanscha comes from a business family. She understands legalities much better than we do. And so for the three of us, advertising is what we like. It's passion play. But I have to be a little nasty to say this. I think we sleep deeper and better at night when we know we've gotten a better price than what was on the table. You know? So having that blend has been able to have us in 1 year.
So that's also not three people. It's also just not a strategist or a creative guy running it.
Yeah.
It's a relationship of three people.
I think so.
Bringing it all together.
Yeah.
So it also adds greed.
Correct.
It adds need.
Yeah.
And then there's something which is your creative aspect. All these three is making it alive for you. It's making it successful for you, right?
Yeah.
So it's not just the creative guy who's running it. It's
100%.
three people as a marriage. And that marriage is extremely important. So I think that's also doing a great job for you.
Yeah, and in our business, there is that stereotype of a creative person, right? The kurta wearing, jhola wearing, chai secret. Coming up with ideas. I think we are that, but I think we also have that side, and maybe that's why it helps, you know?
No, I also think that, you know, in a lot of way, when Align is the only, for instance, or that's the only place my work, I feel that, you know, when I enter that office and I see the Generation Z coming in chappals or coming in shorts or you're not caring about what they're wearing, it also brings a little of a surprise element to me because I've never worked in that environment.
Come on,
See, my road to success has always been a very corporate. You know, you're meeting corporate clients, you're dealing with them. So your environment also adapts to that. Let's just say a younger team member who's very young,
correct,
but who's put out 100% of he or she's time. And let's just say that they don't have the motivation to understand it's okay.
Correct.
You do. But then you as a boss, what do you do as a boss for that team member? How do you bridge that gap?
You know, I think a great way to look at it is there are always multiple factors on why something wins or doesn't. Right? What's important, especially as when we're running the agency, is that everybody understands why we didn't win. You know, oftentimes we'd love an idea and we'd do the great pitch and we get the claps from that client. But we haven't won it because they don't think a 1-year-old agency can execute it. And that shouldn't be an ego play now. You've just got to understand that a 7-year-old agency who's made 100 ad films is probably a better bet. And you've got to be able to give the client that option to do that, you know, without taking it onto your table. And we had this situation very recently where one of our clients we've been working with for 2 years happened to make their ad film with another agency. We were on set taking every decision with them. And it's important to be a little egoless. You know, at the end of the day, there's money spent for a brand to sell a product. You know, you're one part of this larger wheel. And I think it, you know, oftentimes you're right. Younger professionals tend to get emotional and it tends to affect them.
Of course.
But over years, if you keep accumulating the reasons, chances are every time you fail, you'll be able to say, okay, this is because of this reason, you know? And then you can work towards beating those reasons.
Of course, yeah.
If a bigger agency ate into your pie because they're more experienced, build that experience yourself, you know, I guess.
Fair. I mean, talking about younger professionals, what do you think about, you know, we often tell the younger creative guys in our team to be original. What is that originality for you? What do you define or what does that mean for you?
Like for most creative, you know, I think we can all study the same sort of advertising books, but what's going to differentiate me from somebody else is that I was born to two South Indian people, both who worked the government jobs. I grew up in Pedder Road, which is plush area, but I grew up middle class because we lived in the staff quarters.
Oh, come on.
You know? Yeah.
Pedder Road and middle class doesn't
Yeah,
really,
No, but
there's
my
no
parents,
resonate. Okay, fair.
I tell you, my brother, my parents worked in the government, so they were government servants on a government salary, and we lived in the quarters at Pedder Road. So,
And the quarters are like huge.
massive,
Yeah,
you
they're
know.
like huge.
But
Let's just
I
say.
joke with my mom, I didn't know what a marshmallow looked like until I was like in the 11th standard.
You didn't know
So,
at least till you had, right?
Yeah,
I
because I
got
went
to
to
know very recently. So,
I guess.
Pedder Road,
Yeah.
11th standard, you were not middle class, my friend. You were doing very
Come
well for
on.
yourself.
Yeah, I'll give
Yeah.
you that.
Okay.
But I'll tell you, the point I'm making is, born to service class parents as a South Indian living in Pedro, the juxtaposition of that, with the kind of family I grew up with, the authenticity that has brought to me. That is what is my truth.
Right.
Put 10 creatives like me in the room, each one of us have our own truth.
Absolutely. I mean,
think-
it's
I-
even in the same room, right?
Yeah,
We got like
yeah.
couple of us
Correct.
here. So, yeah.
And which is why, Krishna, I think then your superpower as a creative to be original is go back to your authentic voice, And which is why now that we run the agency, we're always excited to hire people with different
Right.
cultural backgrounds.
Right.
I think originality is a factor of tapping into your inner voice, man.
For a young creative starting out in a new agency,
Yeah.
what should they focus on in their first 7 days to probably upscale?
Interesting. I mean, if we're talking about young, let's talk about employees that come with a fresh slate.
When I say young, I don't mean by age, I mean by
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah, correct. Your first job.
First job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember my first job, what I did, I think, is what I recommend to most folk who come in. There's a lot happening in an ad agency, right? It can get a little.
Just tell us a few.
Yeah, for example, if you walk into an office that's an agency in the middle of a high octane day, of course, you've got the bay of designers doing their
course.
video editors, right? You look at strategists who are sitting around just scratching on Google Slides, and you're never going to understand what they do because they're going on such a primitive level of the process that it's tough to bang in.
Of course.
And then you probably see creative people, and the view usually is creative people are going to be listening to music or looking at a tree, swaying. But chances are they're going to be ideating, laughing, trying to find that joke,
Absolutely.
find that angle. As a young creative, you can get lost. And one of the things that we like to do at the agency, at Button at least, is we do that classic no idea is a bad idea. But we're also very, very sharp at don't just say something random, So your first thought as a young creative could be, okay, what can I say that can impress the room? But we always try to sort of give them our learnings of how to arrive at an idea. If you're saying something whack, does it really service what the brand is looking for? Does it even have merit? Is there something in what you said that you can also build on before you say it out?
Fair.
So I think that real-time feedback is crucial. But one of the nice things to do, and which is very easy about when anyone joins us, is we let them take their time to just look and watch. Because every ad agency, Krishna, and you know this better than I, every ad agency is different,
Absolutely.
And even if there's, let's say, one meeting that 3 agencies have come to a pitch with, each one of them have built it out differently.
Right.
Now that we talk about Jayanti, I know Jayanti is a strategist herself, so a lot of the work that Align does would be so much more strategic and then built with creativity. Because we're more creative, we're 2 creative people and 1 planner who started Button. A lot of what we do is trying to find that hook. A lot of times Shafique and I have an insight, and we love the insight so much we sort of try to go find the brand, and so for a young creative, also try to understand what is the agency you're in, what do they do? They may not be similar to your previous gig.
Fair. For people who don't know, I co-own a design agency called Align, is why we are talking about it.
Yeah.
As an entrepreneur who's been doing this for the longest time, the least you can do is motivate your team, right?
Yeah.
And let them do what they want to do, at least on decisions which is close at their heart. You have to be very thoughtful about how you treat your team members, how you treat your partners, how you treat your co-founders, and you don't shun them down even if you don't like it. I'm not saying I don't like it. I love Align. I'm just saying so.
Yeah.
And so starting your own agency,
Yeah.
right? It's a mad world out there.
Crazy.
The competition's crazy.
Yeah.
Of course, I know the nuances of it. I understand the depth, how deep the pockets have to be.
Yeah.
How was the transition like? How did you build that courage to do something like this?
Yeah. But Krishna, I don't think there's any better time than now if you want to start out. And I'll tell you why. Because I think...
Yeah, I've been doing it for 3 years with Align as an agency.
What do you think?
But I don't think Align is the first agency I've built. I've built a few before.
Yeah.
Align could be the first design and thinking agency that I've probably built.
Yeah.
But like The
I
mice
agree.
business I do is also an advertising agency, right? The events I do is also part of the same culture.
Correct.
So everything is a part of the same culture.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, but my point is, and testament to our 1 year we've had, Krishna, I think we've been in rooms with big brands, battling briefs with big network agencies, right?
Right.
And this has happened not because we're great. It's happened
Right.
because brands are waking up to the idea that, hey, you know what?
So they want freshness. They want
I think
something
so.
new, right?
I think so.
Fair.
And I hate to say that word, but it is that. And find a better synonym if you can help me. But the agility side of things, right?
Of course.
You know, I think the kind of turnaround times that we're able to put to the table, plainly because we're hungry and really desperate.
But do you also think that the price point's also a thing? Like something that you, as a newer agency,
Yeah.
something someone who's extremely hungry,
Yeah.
would probably do it at a price point which a larger agency will not be able to do.
And the only question then is, and what if the final output isn't compromised? Then why not?
No, fair, of
Yeah,
course. Yeah.
which
I
is
mean,
the whole
I
game.
do the same
Yeah,
thing, right? So
correct.
fair.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
how
But
did
I
that
think-
courage actually come?
But I think the price war, and think about it from a brand and Krishna, it's a little more nuanced than that, because if you're telling me that a brand makes a decision plainly on someone's doing it for, let's say, 80 lakhs, and these guys will do it for
But don't you
30,
think that's like an ultimate benchmarking of? I'm not saying quality is not
Sure.
of importance.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, let's just say the minute a procurement comes into play, or
Correct.
a larger brand has a
Correct.
procurement,
Yeah.
and the minute the procurement comes into play, they don't care about the quality; they care about the
Correct.
money they're trying to save.
Sure.
Right? So let's just say that if I have to, I'm going to be decided basis numbers.
Yeah.
Don't you think you make a big difference to a larger agency?
100%. 100%. But I'd like to believe that of course you're winning the price war. But think about it, for a brand to trust a younger agency that's quoting a lesser price.
Of course.
So I'll be honest with you, a lot of times, Krishna, we're actually trying to be as competitive with price because there is an illusion that price is quality.
Right.
And so we also don't want to come across as this loose agency that will do anything to do it at, budgets that we don't make a cut.
Right.
And frankly, I'll be honest, a lot of times, and Akanscha is brilliant at this,
Right.
when she is negotiating with vendors and when she's negotiating with procurement teams, she's the one, and I've heard this line from her, which I love. She says, देखो sir, मैं भी धंधा ही चला रही हूँ. And the minute she makes that premise that, you know what, I have to also pay salary, so I'm not coming down. Even when we worked with smaller brands so we worked with them for 6 months until they could take all of their marketing in-house, right? But in the time that they were sort of bootstrapped, we were there working with them, setting up their social, setting up their website.
Right.
So even when we're working with smaller brands, we're trying to work with a brand that hopefully you'll know. And then the bigger mandates are work you'll definitely see.
Right.
So that's the kind of scale we're trying to operate at.
So who's doing this conversion of businesses for you? Like you've got like a bunch of business heads that are changing businesses for you. Or...
So there's also another, if I can take a minute to tell you that,
Yeah,
right?
please.
Which is, I think, core to the DNA that we're trying to build. So for the year and a half that we've been doing Button Really, we haven't really ever pitched for a business. And that comes from a thinking that we've had as an observation working at agencies, which is oftentimes your best team is pitching. And once the business is in, you give it to a more not inferior team that's just not as good as your pitching team. And early on, we felt a little weird about this. And when we were at other agencies, we were happy to be the pitch team, right? Because that's fun. Every day you wake up, you're working on Colgate, you're working on Bonvita, it's cool. But when we started this agency and when we were writing invoices that brands were paying for, we felt like they're paying for it because they want us on the brand. And so it would be unfair if I got Health Factory to sign up and then I put a junior copywriter on it. And so what's happened is, and I think the tailwind on the industry and just the blessings of whichever almighty we believe in, what's worked out is we've gotten great referral, being our BD source. So chances are, if someone's worked with Button, and even if their contract's finished, they're always willing to come back to us for something.
That's because your customer service.
Or they're the best sort of spokesperson, man. And I like to make the analogy with other sectors like law and restauranting, right? Do you want to be that lawyer who takes one small case and puts your might behind it to win a landmark judgment? Or are you that lawyer on the stairs going, "Arey, case hai kya, case hai kya, case hai kya, koi de do?" And I feel like there's so much more merit being, take one small case and do it really well. Because you know this, Krishna, the dynamics in a room between agency and client is so important.
Absolutely.
There are so many times we've sat across a client and very respectfully not gone ahead with it because it doesn't work out for many reasons.
Absolutely.
The power of saying no, the ability of saying no, and that may have come at a cost of not building great business our first 6 months, but we're definitely seeing so much merit doing it now that our clientele go out there and are happy to be spokespersons. I think definitely is a great way, right? In service
Yeah, absolutely.
businesses, of course.
Absolutely. So, how do you personally judge whether a team member is ready to take a leadership or an ownership on a project?
For starters, do they make meetings on time, man? I have a personal metric. But more than that, I think in our business, a much better litmus test is what if this person leaves you, will your client be upset?
So, before you approve any idea at Button, what's the personal filter you run it through?